What if the Bible never intended to compete with science at all? What if the problem of light before the sun in Genesis isn't a mistake, but a misunderstanding of how the text is meant to be read? In modern cosmology, stars, including our sun, come before the earth. Genesis presents light first, then the sun later. So reconciliation depends on whether Genesis is read as literal history or a position of consciousness as experienced from the first person's point of view to the sun's appearance from earth. So there can appear an apparent problem. How confident can we be that the Bible is correct in our search for truth? Day 1 establishes the function of light. Day 4 assigns the rulers that govern it.
Modern cosmology says stars, including our sun, exist before Earth. But Genesis says light appears on day 1, and the sun, moon, and stars show up later on day 4. At first glance, that looks like a contradiction. So we're left with a choice. Is Genesis wrong, or are we reading it the wrong way? Now, if we enter the ancient world to understand Genesis, you have to place it in its original context. In the ancient world, texts like the Enuma Elish. It is the title of the Babylonian creation epic. Enuma told a very different story. The universe was born from violence between gods. The sun, moon, and stars were divine beings. Humans were created to serve the gods. Genesis steps into that world and quietly dismantles it. No cosmic battle, no rival gods, no divine sun or moon, just one God speaking order into existence. Now there is hidden detail in Hebrew words. Here's where it gets precise. Genesis uses 2 different Hebrew verbs, bara, create, used sparingly for key moments, asa, make, appoint, or prepare. Now look at day 4. God made, asa, the 2 great lights. Not created, appointed, assigned. That's a big clue. What Genesis is actually doing, in the ancient world, the sun and moon were worshipped as gods. Genesis responds by doing something subtle, but powerful. It doesn't even name them. Not sun, not moon, just greater light, lesser light. Why? Because they are not gods. They are functions, to govern day and night, to mark seasons and time. Genesis isn't asking, what are these made of? It's answering, what are these for? Let's look at Hebrew versus Greek thinking. This is the turning point. Hebrew thinking focuses on what something does. Greek thinking, shaped by philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, focuses on what something is. So when we read Genesis today, we instinctively ask, what is light made of? When was the sun physically formed? But Genesis is answering a different question. What role does light play? What function do the sun and moon serve? So, now, the problem dissolves. Genesis says, light exists to structure time. Day 1. The sun and moon are appointed to govern that system. Day 4. Science says, stars form before planets. The sun governs Earth's day-night cycle. These are not competing claims. They are different layers and perspectives of explanation. Science explains mechanism, the what. Genesis explains meaning and purpose, the why. The bigger message is, Genesis is not trying to teach astrophysics. It is making a theological claim. The universe is not a battlefield. The sun is not a god. You are not a slave. You are made in the image of the Creator. And the cosmos is ordered, not chaotic. So maybe the real question isn't, does Genesis contradict science? But have we been asking Genesis the wrong questions? Because once you read it on its own terms, the conflict doesn't just weaken, it disappears. Here are the premises. Premise 1.
In surrounding cultures, the sun, moon, and stars are treated as deities.
Premise 2.
Genesis deliberately avoids naming the sun and the moon, referring to them only as lights.
Premise 3.
The text emphasizes their function.
Premise 4.
A polemic aims to reduce status, not necessarily describe material origins.
Now, the conclusion.
Therefore, day 4 is best understood as a bit of a slapdown, or demotion of celestial bodies to functional objects, not as a statement of their original creation.